What is
Yeah.
going on,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? You are on the sidelines with the sideline guys, back again, once again with my guy, my brother in arms, a man that honestly fucking took me out to the shed last week, fucking beat me with a switch and poured salt right on the wounds. My guy, Sean Negrong. How's it going, brother?
It's going good, man. This is what happens when one puts in 100% effort, and this is where I fully start to take over. And after two great back-to-back weeks, you had a little run there. I'm not gonna lie, I had like a 20% worry radar right there. Like I was like, ooh, don't like it, don't like where I put myself. But then, now that I've been back for a little bit, I can put 100% into making sure I destroy you at Yo Pause. And now I'm here and I've had two great weeks. So, I'm looking to capitalize and make it three.
I know. What's the miracle that you put together 2 weeks like this? I can't believe that I got fucking destroyed the way I did last week. I just you got to start the show off the right way because I knew it was coming, right? The fuckery. It was gonna show up at some point, right? So why not fucking welcome it, right? Because there's no way. There's no way we going out sad like we did last week. Sean, we have a terrible card to cover. Let's be
Oh,
very,
yeah.
very honest, you guys. Listen, we do this because we love you guys, right? But let's just be real. We should be getting paid for this shit, right? To make content about this
Absolutely.
card, we deserve a little something something from the UFC right now. A little, you know what I'm saying? A little show, but show just the show money. You know what I'm saying? I don't need the win money. Just give me the show money. But with that being said, we're here to cover once again another awesome UFC card. Thank you again for joining us. And make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at OTS Media Co. OTS Media on YouTube. Thank you so much for all the support you guys have shown on the return. It makes me so excited to be back, and then also to be back in full force. Right, we got a lot of different bells and whistles that I'm excited to make sure get released this week after promising a lot last week and not being able to deliver. But with all that being said, um, you know who doesn't fail to deliver on their promises? The UFC when they make an Apex card. So we are back at the UFC Hellscape, baby, for the 15,014th edition of this absolute buffoonery that takes place in quite literally hell. We have Amanda Lemos going up against Virna Jandiroba in the main event. But as you all know, we start these cards from the bottom to the top. And it's only right that we're starting off this card with not only a heavyweight tilt, right? Shout out to the big boys, but also the third fight card in a row where I am touting out fighters on Dynasty to fight each other, right? It's just fucking civil war on the Dynasty front lately. Third week in a row, we've got motherfuckers on my team just fucking trying to kill each other. And of course, it's Mohammed Usman
Right.
going up against Thomas Peterson, the most presidential man in MMA. We've got Mo Usman minus 126 favorite going up against Tom Peterson plus 112. Now, Sean, this is a fight that if you asked me about this fight like a year and a half ago, I would have genuinely been very excited about it, right? But there has been some anti-developments in both of these heavyweight men's games. Um, but I will say with all confidence that the confidence that I had in Thomas Peterson has now completely dissipated. Um, that doesn't mean I'm confident in Mohammed Usman. It just means that I no longer have any faith in the most presidential man in MMA and his hopes to be the only wrestler in heavyweight MMA. Um, I think this fight is probably going to be sloppy as hell. Mo Usman's probably going to get rocked at some point. Um, and most likely going to go out there and win a decision. I think Thomas Peterson, if he's going to consistently win this fight, he needs to have success in the grappling. And to be honest, I'm not sure that he can do that against competent heavyweight fighters, but let alone someone as how do I say this? Chemically and muscularly gifted as Mohammed Usman clearly is. I'm going with Usman here. I think this fight is going to be sloppy as hell, and I won't be surprised if we end up in the third round and it's just a fucking gas fest. But I like Mohammed Usman to come out on top on this one.
Yeah, I have to agree. And it's tough because if this was like a year ago, like you said, I probably would have picked Peterson to win this one because of how good he is on the ground. And I have yet to really see Usman try to defend a takedown. And I really would have thought that, Peterson would have had a humongous advantage in that department. But the other thing that also disappoints me with Usman is that as big as brolic as he is, I haven't seen that, power that, he came into the I always forget the show because it hasn't done the numbers it once did. Um Not the Contender Series, it's the whatever the other show he came up in. But
The
he came in for,
institution, the show that's been along for 30
yes,
years.
yes, I forget
Fucking
it.
the Ultimate Fighter. It's terrible.
Ultimate Fighter, thank you. Jesus. I know, and it used to be so great, and then it's just, everyone checked out until the Connor season. But yeah, since the Ultimate Fighter, everyone talked about, oh, he's got that great power, that left hook power, and I haven't really seen it since he's gotten the contract to the UFC, and it's kind of just been a decision fest. And even his loss to McParkin was, I feel like I'm seeing a lot of underwhelming performances, and even in his last win, it was very debatable. I could have seen it going the other way, and so, like like I said, if this was a year ago, I probably would have picked Peterson by submission or by ground and pound because I think I don't think Muhammad Usman's going to be breathing correctly by the 10-minute mark. But in this one, I have to think that Usman has a way better striking advantage here. I think that he's gone into this camp having to learn how to defend a big boy takedown. He's going to have to do his very best. And I think that if he could just stay towards the cage, which he's done very well at because he moves very slowly, I think that this is a very readable fight for Usman here. I think he knows the takedown's coming. I think he knows he has a severe advantage when it comes to the stand up. And I think it's going to be a very blatant sort of tick, a very blatant sort of movement from Peterson here. So I'd be very disappointed if Usman does not win this fight. But I also am disappointed in Peterson and what I thought I could have seen from him in the past to where he is now. I'm not saying that like his career is down the tubes and it's washed. I would have thought where I projected both of them going, that at this time in 2024, this would have been like a cakewalk for Peterson to be able to take someone down like Usman, with no history of defending takedowns, and that could have been like a cakewalk for him. So give me Usman here, I think by decision, but I honestly would love to see a knockout by second or late third round because of both of their gas tanks going to be shit. So give me Usman.
You gave me way more than I bargained for on that fight. I love it. That's what Sean comes here to do, ladies and gentlemen, to fucking deliver. So why don't I lay out and let you talk about some women's MMA, my guy? We got
I
Luana
saw that.
Carolina minus 110 going up against Lucy Pudilova plus 100. Go ahead, brother. This is your time to shine, baby.
Yeah, this is great. I think it's gonna be an actually a fun fight because there's no clear, winner here. There's no in the odds. I think both fighters are pretty solid with their striking. I think Carolina has pretty good Muay Thai in there. To me, I think this is where Pudilova might have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to the wrestling and the grappling. But to me, I think Carolina is the better fighter here in this moment in time. Um, I have not liked what I've seen from Pudilova as of late, and to me, I don't want to go like crazy deep into Carolina's very good takedown defense and all that crazy shit. But this one's number two on my list of like uncomfortable to pick. And for me, this is pretty much it could go either way. It depends on who is fighting whose fight. I think their cardio will be completely fine for all 15 minutes. I think it's going to be a little slow. I think it's really like a 50-50, like I keep saying. So I don't feel comfortable in it, but I do think Carolina gets things done. I think her odds have been, bouncing back and forth. I had here in my notes that she was an underdog by the time I wrote my notes. Seems like she's a favorite now, so it's a wild guess for me, but I'm gonna pick Carolina via decision.
Yeah, this is 100% the 1-800 gambler fight on this card. Like if you are betting anything more than a unit or anything
sure.
on this fight at all, call the lady, ladies and gentlemen. Call the lady because help is needed. Yeah, I find it hilarious that this is a pick'em fight between two ladies where one of them is on a 2-fight win streak and the other is on a 2-fight lose streak, right? Like you don't think that would produce a pick'em fight, but I think that might speak to the talent in these divisions. I honestly initially was much higher on Lucy Pudilova's trajectory of the two. In practice, I think if there's anything you could say about either of these ladies, it's that Luana Carolina has been wringing the towel dry, right, of any sort of untapped potential. I think she is someone that really has developed over her UFC career in a way that is notable. And you could definitely track it, right? If you go back to those earlier fights, man, just a lot more consistent process in her fights, but also a lot more willingness to step on the gas and willingness to really commit to what she's doing and in a way that really helps turn fights in her favor. I think Lucia Pudilova is so active where sometimes it could fall into her detriment, where she's so excited and so willing to put herself out there in these exchanges that a lot of the time she is there to get hit. So you would think someone that is that fast and rangy, right? Maybe minimizing those moments of exchanges might help, right? Stay on the outside, not really put herself in danger. But to me, it just seems like she's constantly sort of putting herself right there in the buzzsaw. I agree with you, though. I think this fight is as close to a pick'em as you can get for a reason. I think it is a very much so. I mean, this is true for every fight, but very much so. This is the who the fuck shows up kind of fight. Let's find out who is ready on the night. I think ultimately, though, I agree with you. You got to put your faith in Luana Carolina just because I think she's shown greater upside. You mentioned her takedown defense. That's a great plus, but it also in this matchup isn't even something she necessarily has to worry about. I doubt Lucia Pudilova is going to be out there shooting for takedowns. But most importantly, if any of these ladies are going to be able to get top control here, it is Luana Carolina. So when you got all the boxes checked, the only thing that makes you a little nervous is a potential swarming knockout from Pudilova. But I'm also going to be going with Luana Carolina here. And honestly, I talked myself into wanting to bet this thing, even though I started this with the 1-800 gambler bit. So God damn it, I might have to call the lady too. Next up, Loik Radzhabov going up. Wait, no, I probably said that wrong, right? Right, I don't know. Whatever the fuck. Versus Trey Ogden. Loik minus 115, Trey Ogden plus 100. Live to tape, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited for this fight. This is a low-key banger, right? This is a low-key, most anticipated fight on the card for your boy. Low-key, really excited about this one. I'm a big fan of Loik and what he's been able to accomplish since coming over from the fucking what is it? The fuck league, the PFL, PFL tour. Big fan of his bruising style, right? This guy is an absolute tank, but also has a very extensive gas tank. Like the dude looks tired out there. Don't get me wrong. He's fucking muscle bound as hell and looks exhausted, but this guy can push a pace and a grappling pace nonetheless. And against someone like Trey Ogden, man, this is a style clash that is as old as time, but produces some of the most exciting fights because I think both of these guys are really poised to do what they do well. I think Trey Ogden's going to go out there and look really slick on the feet, definitely pose a lot of different threats to Loik. I think Loik's going to go out there and fucking hit that nitrous button and get a couple takedowns. The question here is how long he's able to maintain control on those takedowns and whether or not Trey Ogden can actually be successful in hurting him in the moments he does get on the feet. This is a very hard fight to pick, and ultimately, like, my heart is with Trey Ogden. I honestly was going to be full throated in picking Trey Ogden throughout the majority of my tape, but I realized a little bias creeping in, and I think when it comes to these stylistic matchups, I tend to just lean towards the more consistent grappler, and I think Loik should be able to either cruise his way to a decision or find his way to a ground and pound TKO victory. So give me Loik Radzhabov.
Damn, I actually thought you were going to take Trey there. I'm taking Loik as well. I think this is one is strictly power versus speed when it comes to striking here. Loik is all full heavy hitter. You know, that one punch knockout power, pretty slow, but extremely powerful, while Ogden's kind of like a lead hand kind of guy, very quick, trying to just hit you with little combos, little small things here and there. I think Ogden has incredibly good wrestling. I think that is where his recent success could be attributed to in this fight. But I do feel that while Loic does, I feel get tired when it comes to that third round. I do think that with the heavy punches and with the connecting shots that I expect in this fight, especially early on, I do think that that will be enough to be enough on the judges' scorecards. I don't think this one's ending in any sort of knockout or submission or anything like that, ground and pound, whatever. I think this one goes all 15 minutes. Another one where it's kind of 50-50 here in my eyes. I was going to go with Ogden in the beginning due to the wrestling. I think he has um, a very good shot of being able to ragdoll someone like Loik if he's able to. But Loik is kind of like a bully, and he's able, I think to handle his own in this in wrestling. I know, we saw Ogden do it against Kurt Holobaugh, who we have to unfortunately talk about later. It's yeah, shots are fired there. But like Kurt has no wrestling takedown defense whatsoever. So you saw Ogden really take advantage of someone like Kurt Holobaugh there. So I don't see that being the exact scenario here. If this happens in round three, then I really do think Ogden can take the decision. And because I think by then, or even a sub, because my biggest concern is Loic in round three. We've seen it a few times now. We saw it in PFL. We've seen it in Eagle FC. We've seen it now in the UFC, where he has struggled with the cardio, and as long as he doesn't get taken down late in the second round or even in the early third, I really do feel that this is Loic by decision. So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, as I'm over here fighting for my life. Next up, we've got Fear the Maverick, ladies and gentlemen. Miranda Maverick, minus 216, going up against Dione Barbosa, plus 185. Women's MMA is peak when Sean is leading the dance, ladies and gentlemen. So why don't you give us this breakdown of the fight that could have been, right? We were so close to getting Miranda Maverick versus Tracy Cortez. I think that would have been amazing. But here we are with Miranda Maverick, Dione Barbosa.
Yeah, yeah, it's not what you want. Shout out to Joe Girardi. But I think in this one is my quote unquote lock of the night. I think this one is where I feel my most confident. I do think Barbosa is uh, really only going to be able to strike in this bout. I think Miranda is way better in the wrestling department, grappling, and in the cardio. I think cardio is going to really be the shining star in this fight. I think you're going to really see after the first 5 minutes how much of a difference these two fighters are, in their careers right now. And I'm not taking anything away from Barbosa. I think, there's still a future ahead for her. I just think this is a perfect matchup for Maverick to continue to build on her, resume. Like you said, we almost got her versus Cortez. I think this one is a honestly, I think this one's more of just a complete grappling and submission hunting for 10 minutes. I think we're just going to see a lot of attempted takedowns. And you know what? Like it's kind of like a Bo Nickel situation at UFC. I don't remember which UFC it was. We were together for it, but when he first Val, and we thought that he was just going to take him down and submit him. But I do think we'll see more Miranda's hands here and see how much she could try to incorporate that into her game. I know that's been certainly a struggle for her. I think this is a good opponent to kind of try to work that into your game here. This is an opponent here on a bullshit card that you kind of want to see what you could do. Let's try to work everything you can, and try to work it a little bit in the first round, see what you can get, and then when you get to late first round, go for the takedown, see how easy you could get the control time, and then eventually position times, and eventually submission. So I would be I say Miranda by decision. That's what I have here, but I can absolutely see a submission here. I think the only reason it goes to decision is because I think Miranda's going to be working all parts of MMA here to try to up her game in every facet. So
Let's fucking go. Another representative of Team Chris Negrong over here, representing. You love to see it. I really like Dione Barbosa, man. I just gotta say this again. Like, I'm a big fan of her game, and I think, especially in this division, she is gonna set herself apart. I think this is awesome that she's putting herself in these positions. This is a closer fight than the odds suggest. I 100% agree. Um, with a lot of the stuff you were saying about Miranda Maverick's path to victory here. But I think she would be a little naive to only focus on the grappling side of things, especially because you would think, if all things considered, Dione Barbosa, that's where she wants to be, ladies and gentlemen. She wants to get you on the ground, right? So why fuck around and fuck around? Um, I've been a big fan of Miranda Maverick. I think this fight, regardless of who it was on the other side of the cage, she really needed to set herself apart, right? It's time to live up to that potential and really show the UFC that they deserve to reinvest in you, right? After the little slide you had, obviously on a great streak now, beating Priscilla Cachoeira and following it up by beating Andrea Lee. But I don't think that second, I mean, either of those, but I don't think that second win particularly ages pretty gracefully. So, um, obviously, this is a short notice fight as well for Dione. So, you kind of give Miranda all the checks leading into this one, regardless. But I think if this fight is a close fight, right, and this is a tough competitive fight, that's just a terrible spot to be in if you're a Miranda Maverick fan. I think she really needs to put the pedal to the metal here and separate herself from the pack in this division so she could really start working her way up towards that second half. Because, man, this division is fucking moving, ladies and gentlemen. I remember a couple years ago, it really felt stagnant, especially at the top. And now it's moving faster than fucking welterweight by like 3 times. God damn it. This division is awesome and I love where it's headed. But in order to put yourself amongst those people to watch out for, you really got to deliver. And I think the key to doing that here in this matchup is intercepting elbows. She has some of the nastiest elbows when she's able to fully commit to those styles of strikes. And I think in this matchup specifically, especially with the kind of shot takedowns that Dione does go for, there's just a lot of opportunities to catch her intercepting in a lot of different ways. But particularly with those elbows, I'm interested to see if she can pull that off. Now, obviously, Dione Barbosa's biggest path to victory here, in my opinion, is top control. I think regardless of how good Miranda Maverick is in the grappling phases, she's shown a willingness to battle things out on the ground, even if things aren't going out her way. And she ends up getting controlled a lot because of it in a lot of her fights. So I think that's something to watch out for here. Obviously, we're both keen on Miranda Maverick and picking her here. So not really much more to delve into, but I do think this fight deserves to be around a minus 160 plus 140-ish range compared to where it is right now. Maybe the short notice is what keeps it where it is. But I'm not wanting to pull the trigger, god damn it. We going with Miranda Maverick. Next up, We got the boom. I don't know if any have seen those fucking TikToks, but bro, I hate that family, and I want to fucking do violent things to
I
them.
can't
I
believe you
swear to
just said
God.
that,
Yeah, I hate all of them, especially the son, bro, because there's nothing worse than seeing the product of a failed adult and
Yep.
realizing that they are now not only the same person but younger, right? They're gonna be here for much longer. They're gonna be a failure for much longer. God damn it. So yeah, 5 booms, cocksuckers. Brian Kelleher, plus 170, going up against Cody Gibson, minus 196. You heard that right, god damn it. If Sean could change the fucking caption. I
I,
love this
I
fight
was letting you go off. All
because
right.
oh yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, because these pieces of shit. I love this fight because I'm a big Cody Gibson fan, and I think this guy, no matter what kind of fight you bring to him, he doesn't give a fuck, bro. He's willing to do it. And I think in this matchup specifically, that's just a terrible way to fight. Like, hey, I'm gonna be real, man. It's been real tough for my guy Brian Kelleher, right? I want good things for the man with the skullet. Now, do I think good things are on the horizon? Sadly, I do not. I mean, when you have to get your neck fused, and
Yep.
you're still out here just getting punched in the head, it's a rough way to earn a living. God damn it! And I think size-wise, obviously, there's a big discrepancy here. Cody Gibson is huge for this division, and what troubles me about the matchup, though, is regardless of him having all those intangibles, he does not fight in a way that takes advantage of that. Like no matter who he's fighting, he's gonna end up going tooth and nail with them in any phase they want to fight in because Cody Gibson is like, hey, I'm that guy. I can do it all. And ultimately, I think if he were to really dial in on his approach in a lot of these fights and tailor his game a little more specifically, I really think he would be a much better fighter than he is. That's why I think Brian Kelleher is not in the plus 210 range. Just because Cody Gibson is kind of questionable when it comes to the fight IQ, man. It does a lot for us as fans, right, to get excited about. But especially when putting himself in dangerous positions, submission wise, etc. There's just a lot to worry about in this matchup. Now, it's been chalky so far, right? We're all picking fucking favorites here. We continuing that trend. I'm not picking Brian Kelleher. It's not gonna happen. Not in the year of our Lord 2024. But I will say that Cody Gibson is the closest you get to a man with a revolver and Parkinson's, right? Like we firing, baby. There's fire. There's shots going off. Where they're gonna land, the Lord knows. So good luck to both of these men. I think ultimately we're gonna get a fun fight, right? No matter how long it lasts. But something about Cody Gibson round 2 guillotine just seems right. So give me Cody Gibson.
Yeah, this one's tough because I agree with so much of what you were saying. My problem is with Brian is that it's you don't really know how he's gonna really be. We've seen him get hyped up. We've seen him face some really worthy opponents, and then we've also seen him get knocked out. I think his chin has definitely the durability has definitely wavered. I think we have seen the best of Brian already. Uh, thing about Cody Gibson is that I feel he has decent striking at best. I think he could be so good, but he's not. Like there's just something mentally with him that stops him. I've seen Gibson get submitted a bunch of times. Like if this was a year ago, I think I'd pick Kelleher by knockout. But because when it comes to Kelleher, he's a really good, strong striker. Everyone says that he's got incredible power, but it's just the chin durability that really bothers me. It's something where I feel like if he gets too close to Gibson, something bad is going to happen. Like I don't think Gibson has to be anything spectacular in this fight to be able to clip Kelleher here. And I think like I had this one where I was hyping up Kelleher this whole time, but watching the film I I just don't like what I see when it comes to the later in the fight, and I think you don't see much of Gibson changing his mechanics or who he was throughout from the first round to the end of the third round. kind of is that same fighter, and he constantly is pushing forward. He's always in your face, and I think eventually that's going to get Brian clipped. Um, but this is one where I felt really back and forth here because I felt like if this, like I said a year ago, I think Kelleher would have been a much better fighter. I think Kelleher probably could have won via knockout or by ground and pound. So I don't like what Brian where Brian has been at least in the last 12 months. Like you mentioned with the getting his neck fused. That's always a humongous concern. Um, I think his cardio is kind of dog shit as of late. I think his chin is dog shit, and I just see a lot of openings where Gibson can just he might not even have his best fight or even the fight he wanted, but he could just land one time and we're talking about a completely different fight. So I'm not confident in Gibson because Gibson and Holobaugh, like I mentioned before, these guys are on the same card every fucking time. I can't stand these two always being on the same card. And they're just Ultimate Fighter washouts to me sometimes when I watch them. But I will give Gibson the win here, even though and I get frustrated because you mentioned it, where Gibson I felt has the tools to be great or be at least above average to and real almost like a contender in the rankings, but it's just something within himself that stops him every time, and it's very frustrating as a fan knowing what the tools that he has, and it just doesn't happen on a consistent basis. And so with his tools, I think Gibson gets it done, but I'm not confident in.
I love it. Next up, we got Hyder Amil plus 165, one of Sean's guys, going up
Ugh.
against Jeong Lee minus 190. Sean, it's your time to lead the dance, and I know you love yourself a road to the UFC prospect.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. This is this is a tough one for me because I have Hyder Emil on my dynasty, and the thing about Hyder is he kind of shows that he's like a 6 to 7 minute fighter at the most. Like he goes all in on that very strong and fast. I'm going to kill you right now. I have to get out of this cage. It's like there's like a bomb and it's gonna go off in the octagon in 6 minutes. He's got to get the fuck out of there, and the only way out is to kill that guy. So he goes balls to the wall every time, and especially in his debut. I think like it helped me in that moment, but it was also one of those where I think he's able to throw everything he's got, and then when you saw round 2 and 3, you kind of just watch him like a completely different fighter. It's very slow. It's very like trying to focus on the outside of the cage to avoid. I don't think this one I don't think this one has a meal trying to force takedowns or anything like that. I think he's just going to be super heavy on trying to kill Lee real early. I think Lee will do more than enough to avoid and survive that onslaught in the first round, and then I think you'll see why Lee is the favorite in this fight in rounds 2 and 3. I think everyone's going to be a little shocked at whoever doesn't know who Hyder Emil is yet and thinking, "Wow, this guy's crazy. He's 5 minutes. He's trying to kill this guy." And then you'll see why he's the underdog in this fight when you get to mid round 2, even early round 2. And that's why I'm picking Lee. I think this is another one for me where this is probably my second or third lock of the evening because this is one where it really annoys me on how little Emil does when it comes to rounds 2 and 3. I'm hoping with the time that I've seen him in his last fight that maybe he's built up a better cardio. I don't think it's better than Lee's, but I have to think that this one is going to be Lee either via ground and pound TKO or by decision, maybe even a 10-8 round in there. So I'm picking Lee.
Hyder Amil has that Frankenstein gene, bro. You can't tell me that that guy is not somehow distantly related to Rafael dos Anjos. You cannot convince me of that because goddamn, they got that Frankenstein gene, baby. They got that fucking lump sum of a fucking dome and just fueled by fucking test. You love to see it. I agree with you though. I think this fight is very simple. Like I think this is a very easy fight to understand. This is live bet Jeong Lee after round one. Like that is exactly what this fight is. Um, I think there is ways that Hyder Mill can definitely get him out of there in that scenario, which is obviously always something to be worried about. Probably why the line is where it is, despite the advantages that Young Lee holds. I think that my guy Young Lee is really one of the more well-rounded fighters that we've seen come out of the road to UFC. Now, in the past, this has also once again kind of been to his detriment, right? Where he is getting takedown shot on him, and he's like, "How dare you? You know what I do? I come here and wrestle. How dare you?" And then all of a sudden now, after outstriking his opponent for the last 5 minutes, now this is just entirely a grappling match that is much closer than it ever was on the feet. Like he has that same Cody Gibson issue where he has the skills everywhere, but for whatever reason, his need to mix the martial arts prevents him from taking the path of least resistance because he's like, anything you can do, I can do better. And if he goes out there trying to fucking slug with Hyder Meal, he's gonna have issues. But I agree, man. Your analysis just solidified the way I already felt about this one. 100%. If you can draft Hyder Meal and see these same things, then I'm very confident in my pick of one Young Lee. But with all that being said, it's only right that we move on to the actual part of the card that kind of is cool, right? Kinda. We got the Korean Superboy, Ho Choi, plus 145, going up against Bill Algeo, minus 163. Bill Algeo obviously coming off of that fight against Kyle Nelson, where it was super fucking bad for him, just damaging as hell. A lot of people and a lot of discourse talking about how this was one of the most terrible stoppages in the history of the UFC. And every time I see shit like that, I'm like, damn, you definitely are the guy that I would hate to watch fights with, right? Like we're all watching fights, and then there's just one guy that just randomly starts talking about how no, I need you to kill him. Like, relax, brother. Relax, brother. This is all a sport, god damn it. Um, I think there's no way in hell that you could say that was an early stoppage. I argue that it should have been stopped earlier than it was stopped. Um, the dude was on fucking skates for like 2 minutes straight. Like that's you can't do that shit, bro. I'm sorry. You do not have the Chinese slippers on your feet. You cannot just be fucking skating across the octagon. This is not happening. Now, Ho Choi is also coming off of a fight against one Kyle Nelson. Look at that fucking synergy right there. Obviously, this one took place a lot longer beforehand and ended up in a draw, which honestly kind of fucked my head up, right? Like when I was figuring all this stuff out, I'm like, hold on, what? I could have swore this guy just lost. Um, Strange times, man. All I gotta say about this Ho Choi guy is I remember the era, right? I was there for the entire 2015, 2014, 16 run of Ho Choi, where I'm like, man, this guy right here, this guy's gonna be something special. This is the Asian Conor McGregor right here. We're gonna get an Asian boom with the things that Ho Choi is gonna accomplish in this sport. And
Enough with the boom.
goddamn, that take a fuck you, okay? Fuck those guys too. Um, there's no way that I would have predicted his career would have went this way. Obviously, he still is not super old, especially when you consider how he hasn't been competing, right? So a lot of those years that have passed are years that took place with him on the shelf, right? So he's not necessarily being wore down by competition, etc. But being someone that deals with so many injuries and trying to make his way back into the cage, like there is no way you could look at this fight and be confident in either of these guys to do what you think they're gonna do out there. Like I'm just gonna say that right off the top. It is what it is. I think Bill Algeo obviously has the more well-rounded game. I think Bill Algeo, if he's able to get consistent top control here in this fight, I think there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to come out the victor here. But I just have this love in my heart, right, for this Superboy that is really a Superman, but he looks like a boy, right? Like it's very strange. So I guess the name is super fitting in that way. I'm going with Duho Choi here. I think he is the most potent fighter um, on this card. You could argue the most potent fighter on this card. That when that motherfucker is coming downhill on you with no pause with the absolute fists of fury and years of the machalach and ready to unleash them on you. This guy is fucking dangerous, man, more so than anyone here. And I think after getting your bell rung like that by Kyle motherfucking Nelson, standing up to someone who is a barn burner and willing to do whatever they have to do to get you out of there is a tough position to ask for. Now, I am 100% fine with coming back here next week and looking like an idiot for this pick because that's a very viable option here. I got a lot of respect for Bill Algeo and his prospects as well. But just as of late, seeing his reactions to a lot of things and the style dynamic here, I'm going with Duho Choi, goddammit. You are
Yeah,
muted. Here we go.
okay, calm down, calm down.
All right, I got excited.
I I am going with Choi as well.
Wow.
This is fun for me because I don't know why, and call me out like I'm a fucking idiot if I'm wrong here. I don't know. With this dude's 10-year run, right? This guy is basically 3-1 in his last 10 years. It's definitely been like I don't know. If I look at his, MMA or Tapology fucking report, kind of reminds me of like Connor's sort of recent run.
Bro,
He's like disappeared. He hasn't had a win in 8 years. Like it's been a while, and uh, that kind of excites me here because now I do know he's training in the Korean Zombies camp. He's been focused primarily on wrestling and grappling for as of late, especially for this fight, because I think Bill Algeo's bread and butter for this one is going to try to go for the takedown here. I think both are pretty decent strikers. I think Choi is a much more dynamic striker. I think it's more meaningful, I guess, when for dealing damage in different ways. I think Algeo does more of the striking of just constant, jab hook. There's not much diversity there. You kind of know what he's trying to do. A little bit of like an overwhelming factor, but Choi is kind of so dynamic. He overwhelms you in a different variety. And I think Choi can find a way to rattle the chin a bit. I really do believe that. But I do think that they both have pretty good cardio from what I've seen. So this is not one where like the other fights I mentioned where you kind of worry about the third round. Choi's been chilling for a long time on trying to get a win here. You're talking about this dude probably can't remember his last win. It's been 8 years. So I don't think anybody that's watching this fight can remember his last win. I wonder if they had the specific shorts by then in 2014, 2015. I don't even remember. I don't know
yes, they
if
did. It's
yeah.
most,
Oh, there you
yeah.
go. Look at that. That's when like we're talking like did they have the Reebok shorts yet? But yeah, it's I to me, I think this one, like I said, is gonna be more of a dynamic thing for Troy. I think he's gonna be able to mix it up a lot better. I think my one concern, I say this all the time, is that if you don't fight, ring rust really does come into play here. But I do think that he's just fought. I say just fought because it's pretty decent for him. 18 months ago, that's I guess good for him because before that it was like 4 or 5 years.
There's no way
So
you just fucking said that. There's no way you
I
just
had to, bro. You know what? For him, I'm proud of him that he actually is back within the same year and the number of the year before. Like that's pretty good. Like 2019 to 2023. Now he's fighting in 2024. Man, that's a round of applause in itself. So for me, it's a win no matter what happens for him. I do think though that he wins, and I will say he's gonna win via knockout, just to
Wow.
get Choi his first win in 8 years, and then the UFC could just hype him up and like bring in like they'll bring in half the screen of his last win 8 years ago because it'd be like almost exactly identical to the date to 8 years ago when he last won in the UFC in the Ultimate Fighter finale to now. And back when you had Ultimate Fighter finale as a card number or as a card and not just like an exhibition. But like I said, give me Choi via dynamic ability.
I fucking love it. Next up, we go to the flyweight division. We got
Oh yeah,
Cody Durden going up against Bruno Silva. This is another one of those most anticipated fights on the card for your boy. Really love both of these guys, high octane styles in the flyweight division. So, Sean, why don't you lead the dance, baby? I honestly, strategically, am happy that I get to hear what side you're on first in this matchup.
It- this is my number one like hardest one to pick for me. This was they're both very good fighters here. This is probably like
Bro,
out
real
of all the
quick,
matchmaking.
imagine, I'm sorry to cut you off here. This is rude. Please remember your point. But I swear to God, imagine if the heavyweight division's 40th best fighter were guys with these skill
I
sets.
know, right?
Do you know
It
how
would be
fucking
nice, right?
crazy that would be, bro? Anyway,
Hey,
continue.
maybe we'll get that a couple years down the line. Maybe we'll get something like that. I doubt it completely, but you never know. You never know. But yeah, this is why you love fights like these, and that's what I was saying with the matchmaking is this is a great fight. I'm glad they put this one together. I wish this was like a early prelim on a numbered card. I wish this fight happened next week because this is a fight like Dana White could scream into the camera about and go super red about, and this a fight you might not know about, and then this is what he's talking about. Like this would be one of those fights. So, I think for me, Durden, kind of a classic sort of heavy boxing mentality here, especially when the takedown attempts happen. I think Silva is much more diverse on his feet. Tries to use a lot of kicks, tries to use his speed and lateral movement. If you don't hear the train, that's the train. Um, a large variety of kicks, his speed, he uses lateral movement to set up more attacks on the outside. I think that is going to be a little bit of a challenge for Durden to overcome. I think Durden, like I said before, classic sort of fighter. I think he has a very good high wrestling. He's basically trained to wrestle. I think this is one where it's going to be a lot of fun watching him on the ground. And I think if Durden can find this on the ground, then I think this is Durden's fight. And this is why this was really tough for me because it's kind of one for me where is they're both good wrestlers. I think Durden's a way better one to me. And I think if Silva can keep this fight moving on the feet, how fast he is keeping us towards the outside, keeping the diverse kicks and speed, like I said, with the movement, I think this is one where he could take it via. I don't think anyone's getting knocked out. So it really is going to come down to control time on the ground for Durden and overall skill from Silva and who wins what round. Because and we've said this so many times, 2024 and even 2023, and for the past couple years, judging is different from each judge. It really is going to depend on who sees what. And I see this one where in the beginning you're going to try to see a lot of Silva. I think round two you'll see a lot of Durden with ground control time, and even I do believe Durden gets it done when it comes to round three, focusing on getting the takedown again and kind of controlling the ground game. And I think that will be a little bit too much on the scorecards. So to me, I think Durden via decision, but I can absolutely see a situation where Silva is just way too much to bear for for Durden to overcome and try to figure out how to get a takedown, how to force his fight. And this is a really tough one, but I have to think with how judges score fights nowadays, and if you get 2 minutes of ground control time in a round, it's like an automatic win for a lot of judges. I don't understand it sometimes. And I believe that's going to happen at least 2 of the 3 rounds. And I think Durden wins via decision.
God damn, this guy's on point. What really shocked me when looking into this fight is how good Bruno Silva is at getting up from bottom. Bro, this motherfucker is just out there fighting for his life like fucking Bolsonaro did. Just fucking making sure to the last breath, god damn it, you are gonna know that the effort has been put out there. This man absolutely hates being controlled on the ground. And that's one of my favorite attributes in any fighter, man. That kind of urgency, that level of fuck you, right, to that takedown defense is what made Joanna Jędrzejczyk one of my favorite fighters, man. I think being able and willing to punish people off a takedown defense is one of the best skills to have in MMA. So I'm a big fan of Bruno Silva, as you can tell. I think this matchup is just such a tough fight for both these guys. Cody Durden dealing with someone that's just going to keep coming no matter what, no pause, is just willing to put himself out there volume-wise, especially on the feet, but also someone that is very adaptable, right? I think I love that you led with talking about how Bruno Silva is very diverse in his kicks. I think he's smarter, though, than to go into this and say, I'm going to go out there and chop off Cody Durden's legs. No, we know this guy wants to wrestle you, right? So look for body kicks, look for low-line calf kicks, if any, and just look for him to use his weapons properly. Like, that's what I really love about Bruno Silva. That's why I think I'm slightly giving him an edge here in the matchup. I just feel like while Cody Durden is out there fighting for his life all the time, no matter what as well, I think Bruno Silva has a little bit more polish on the feet, which is where I feel like this fight is going to constantly end up returning to. I will not be surprised if Cody Durden goes out there and gets a fucking good old NCAA American wrestling win out there. Will not be surprised by that at all. But I'm siding with the dog that lives within Bruno Silva's chest. God damn it. Give me Bruno Silva. And we got our first head-to-head, ladies and gentlemen. It took fucking long enough. Next up, this guy's trying to hold his lead. I already know he's trying to hold his fucking lead. Next up.
I just went twice. I've gone more first than you've gone more. What are you talking about?
Hey, don't bullshit me because I went first on the Duho Choi fight, so stop it, okay? Anyway, next up, we've got Kurt Holobaugh, plus 116, Sean's favorite fighter to speak on, going up against Kaynan Khrushchevsky, minus 130. I hope I said that well because, goddamn, that's a difficult one. I know you're not even going to try, so he's going to be like, Kaynan.
I'm going to say Kaynan. I'm not saying anything else.
Kaynan. I just got to say, man, Kurt Holobaugh is the king of dudes that is right below UFC level. Like, if 155, right, existed in a vacuum, right, there was no sport of MMA, but somehow the fights were still happening. There was no infrastructure. This guy would be not even in the league, right? He won't even be in the A league. But somehow, right, somehow the UFC finds a way to keep these people employed. Now, I'm not fully just hating on Kurt Holobaugh because I don't like watching him fight. I love watching this dude fight. This guy puts it all out there in all phases. This guy is all action all the time. Questionable decisions, though, right? Which makes it difficult to get behind the Kurt Holobaugh train. I think Kaynan obviously is just a dangerous fighter, which is what makes this a dangerous fight for both of these guys. The longer I looked at this fight, though, back and forth, the more I kind of felt like, hey, am I really confident that Kaynan's hands are way, way better than Kurt Holobaugh's here? Not really. Am I confident that Kurt Holobaugh has the edge when it comes to catching submissions here? Hell yeah. Now, this was the last question, right? This was the last question when it came to this matchup. Do I think that Kaynan Khrushchevsky can repeat takedowns in this fight and get top control here for extended periods. And at first I was like, yeah. Like at first I was like, yeah. Kurt Holobaugh is definitely gonna lose this one. But the more I dug into it, the more I kind of leaned towards Kurt. I think ultimately his experience here, him being the super veteran, two-time veteran, right? This guy's a double veteran. You got to get cut from the UFC and come back. Ask Julian Erosa to really find your way in the UFC. But I'm going with Kurt Holobaugh here. I just think experience wins out the day, and I think matchup-wise, it's a tough one for one Kaynan. How you feeling, brother?
No, I disagree with you completely. Not about the points that you made, but I just can't. I can't get on cheering for Kurt. I did agree with you with the whole. I think this dude is a professional quadruple A player fighter to me. Like if you make it baseball terms, like this dude like gets himself into the league, but you know he doesn't belong. And then but he really is like a 75% should be in triple A. But like when every time you know this guy because he had like that one fight or that one run in the majors, you're like, oh, that's that guy. But he's not that great. Yeah, all right, cool. Like he's a name you know, but he got cut from the UFC, went to Ultimate Fighter. Dana and them gave him a contract. He's here. He's with Cody Gibson again. Those two just love to stay on the same card for the third straight time. I don't really understand it.
Why does that
But to
bother you
me,
exactly? Like, what
because
about that?
I just don't care about almost anyone from that entire Ultimate Fighter. Like there was nobody I saw on that Ultimate Fighter except maybe like Austin Hubbard and Brad Katona in his weight class. That was like wow. Like you know what that they looked really good in that time period. I'm glad they got contracts. Like I almost felt like the UFC like felt bad and was like, hey, Kurt had a good story with his kids. Give him a contract. Like he put up a good fight against Austin. Give him one. He deserves it. Like, all right, I would have given him like a 2 fight deal. Like, I haven't seen from Kurt what I think others or what the UFC thought they would see. I don't know. It's like, and I hate to hate, and I'm not trying to be a hater because I don't like to be that person. But like to me, I just felt like he's just right outside of UFC level, right? Like I think he'd do decently well if he was in PFL or one of those smaller leagues. But to me, I think I will say Kaynan, shout out Power, has a better striking here. I think he's more high level in the Muay Thai. I think there are times, especially in the Brenner fight, where he looked pretty fucking dumb. Like I don't know, I did not like his strategy in that fight whatsoever. He's got long, like loopy type of like elusive attacks that I don't think work well in a higher level UFC. But for Holobaugh, I just don't think, especially on paper, that his striking is going to match up at all to Kane here. And then I think both are pretty decent when it comes to the wrestling here. I think this is one where Kane is going to be a lot more offensive, while Kurt's going to try to push forward early, but kind of be on the back foot for the rest of the fight. Um, I really don't see where the grappling exchange is going to be dangerous for someone like Kaynan. I could see it more going the other way. And obviously, I think Kaynan has way better cardio. I've seen Harbaugh have some pretty struggling times early in his UFC career. Even in the Ultimate Fighter, he had, I don't remember the second fight. I don't remember which one it was. Maybe his first one, where he struggled. Um, and I have not gone to the point where I believe in either these two guys, but more in Kurt. I think this is one where this might be Kurt's last fight in UFC. To be quite honest, I don't know what his contract is, but I have not seen it from Kurt where I wanted to eat my words. I almost feel like I'm 75% right of what I saw in the Ultimate Fighter. That when he came back, I wasn't like, wow, he's the fucking dude. He's a totally different guy. Like I never, I didn't have that moment. And I think honestly, to me, I'm going Kane via knockout. That's what I have in my notes here. I think Kaynan via second round knockout. That's what I have. So that's what I'm
Nothing,
going
bro.
with.
Nothing about the tape made me think that Kaynan could punch his way out of a fucking glass bag. But I love to see it. I
Yeah.
can't wait. I think this fight is peak. Why the fuck are we still here? Like by the time, if we watching this card, by the time we get to this moment, you're like, damn, like this is what I'm spending my Saturdays doing, bro. Like I might just fucking end it all. I don't know. It's tough, bro. This is I can't believe this is a thing, right? This is a thing in the modern day UFC. But next up, we move on to the Division of Kings. Steve Garcia at 145, minus 148 against Sung Woo Choi, who comes back plus 135. Oh, man. I'm excited for this one. Off the top, I'll be very transparent. This is going to be the people's main event right here. Sean, it is your turn to lead the dance. Are you excited to get the opportunity to be the first one to talk about this fight?
Yeah, I look at this one as probably this could have been like a co-main event for me. I could have even seen this as my main event for myself. I would have been more than happy. This one's not going 15 minutes. I would be very surprised if it does. I picked Garcia to win. I think the only thing that matters in this fight is they're both going to try to knock each other's heads off. I think they both are really good at dealing damage. I think both are very strong at trying to put each other's lights out, are pretty quick on the feet, can make you fight their fight. I know I've said that like 2 or 3 times already. I don't think cardio or wrestling grappling is really going to be a factor at all. And this is one where it's just going to be UFC boxing. Um, to me, I pick Garcia to win because I think how he responds in like chaotic situations and chaotic fighting is what like his bread and butter as of late, as what I've seen from him. Like when it comes down to just trying to either I'm going down or you're going down, the Max Holloway point at the grounds type fighting. It's almost like Garcia loves that. Like he's down, he doesn't fear getting hit, going to sleep at all. Like he's just going there to survive that chaotic situation as long as he can also put you in the chaotic situation at the same moment. And I think both can absorb strikes really well, both not as great as they once were. And I think for me, I think Garcia will be able to handle Choi's power. And I think Garcia is going to be full hands on deck trying to murder that man, just like it's going to be coming back to him. I think both are going to get tagged up. But I think by the end of round 2, I'd be very surprised if the fight's still happening. This fight feels to me like a 5-minute fight. I am picking Garcia via knockout, probably performance of the night going his way because I think it's going to be one of those out cold sort of knockouts. This is going to be a really fun fight. If I had to be Dana right now, this would be the fight I'd be screaming into the microphone at or into the camera at because this is the fight that I think everyone's going to want to see compared to what we have for the main and co-main.
Dude, I couldn't have said it better myself, man. This is a barn burner for sure. But this one gave me a lot of trouble, man. I feel like both of these guys are very inconsistent. Both of these guys are there to be hit. And both of these guys come out of that fucking corner like a man on fire, bro. Like it's time to find someone to kill, brothers. Um, Obviously, Steve Garcia has a lot more ways to win, which automatically just makes me really excited about his career. The dude is huge for 145. Like, I would not be surprised if at some point he finds his way into a welterweight fight in the UFC. That dude is fucking big, bro. Sung Woo Choi is not a small featherweight either, but I promise you, Steve Garcia is going to be looking very tall in this fight. Sung Woo Choi is a very consistently good fighter, though. Like that's what's giving me a lot of pause here. I think Sung Woo Choi could certainly tag Steve Garcia early and really make him forget about his game plan and fuck up his night. I think Sung Woo Choi has sleepy power that people for whatever reason don't take into account. But something that does trouble me here is I just feel like ultimately, if both of these guys were to get rocked, who am I more confident in responding better? And I would say at this point that is Steve Garcia. I think while both of these guys have the opportunity, right, to land at any moment, I think all things considered, if both of them do land, I just feel a lot more confident in Steve Garcia being able to weather that storm. Sungwoo Choi is not a glass cannon at all. Like, I don't think this is going to be actually a quick fight. I think this is going to go to decision, just because I think both of these guys are so scrappy, right, and so willing to really get after it. Um, I just think this is going to be dangerous. Like, no matter how long this fight goes, it's going to be dangerous on both sides because either of these guys can land with shot-ending power. But ultimately, I just like Steve Garcia's tool bag, right? He's got a lot more tools in that shed to pull out in this matchup. So give me Steve Garcia. Now, we have somehow arrived to the co-main event, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Brad Tavares plus 136 going up against the Iron Turtle, Jeong Park minus 160. You love to see it. This is a terrible co-main event, and I'm a huge Jeong Park guy, right? There's a lot better options on this card. Just saying. And I'm looking at you, Brad Tavares. This is your fault. I don't know what it is about Brad Tavares, but in my opinion, he is the Kurt Holobaugh of 185. This guy is somehow able to give terrible fighters prospects losses while simultaneously not being able to do anything against most mediocre fighters in this division. Something that I do love about his game, very consistent, right? When it comes to his grappling defense, when it comes to circling the cage, right? Very consistent, aka very fucking boring to watch. I think Jeong Park is gonna force a barn burner out of Brad Tavares because Jeong Park doesn't know how to fight anyway else. This guy can get a little messy sometimes out there, right? I gotta reiterate that. But I just love the way he adapts in fights. I love the way you can see that he's clearly working towards things in these fights positionally. The dude is a thinking's man's fighter, and I think if he had like 2% of that secret juice from Paulo Costa, I think he could be a fucking top 5 guy in this division. Unfortunately, it seems like he's going the natural route, which is sad for all parties involved. I think this fight is a Brad Tavares fight, right? Like, I think this is a Brad Tavares W kind of fight. I got Jeong Park on my dynasty team, though, so I'm not going to root for it to happen. But this is Brad Tavares by decision all day. Like, that's what's written on this fight. But ultimately, I'm going to say I'm going with Jeong Park to make things wild, to go out there and have a lot of striking exchanges, but most importantly, just leave the takedowns at home. Right? The more you're going for takedowns in this fight, in my opinion, the more you're putting yourself in a position to get stuffed and put into bad spots. Just go out there, have a consistent output performance against someone that just doesn't want to exchange at all, and I promise you, you will win. So give me Jeong Park by IQ. How you feeling, Sean?
Yeah, I actually thought you would take Tavares there, so I take Park. But I take Park via decision because I think he's just gonna completely disrupt Tavares' timing. I think Tavares is much more powerful than Park in my eyes. I think Park is just gonna go over there and just try to completely disrupt everything Tavares knows. I do think Tavares' prime, or even really his credibility in the UFC, is past him now. He's been doing this 14 years in the UFC. It's pretty wild to know how long he's been here. It's and I'm not shitting on it. Like, credit to him for being in this game for this long. He's lost to the best of them. Whitaker, Adesanya, Duplessis, Yoel Romero. Like, he's been around a long time. Court McGee, shout out to Court McGee. Like, he's been around a long time. So I do give him a lot of credit here. I really credit this as like a 3-fight losing streak to me. it got on the verge of a fourth because fighting, and I'm not trying to be like a Chris Weidman like type of guy here, but beating Chris Weidman at that time period, like I don't think Chris Weidman was Chris Weidman anymore, especially first fight back from having your leg snapped via the Uriah Faber, not well, Uriah Faber, Uriah Hall fight. I think that changes a man, and coming back and then getting your leg just beatily like brutalized by Brad Tavares. Like he knew the strategy going in, and that's why I think he's still in the UFC. To be honest with you, is because that win kind of set the clock back for him. To, oh, I just came off a win, you know. Now I'm back, but he's again continued to lose in upsetting fashion, and I think Park has still some upside to me. I think this one should be pretty close, but I do think Park will just do enough technically to get it done. I got to give Tavares a lot of credit when it comes to his takedown defense as of late. I think it's gotten much more impressive later in his career than early on. Um, I don't think Park's going to really be able to get any sort of takedowns. I think this is one that's going to be pushing the pace on Brad Tavares here for the majority. Just constantly pushing pace, disrupting patterns, keeping Tavares just so off offset, just trying to figure out what he could do. And I think that's just going to be Park just going jab heavy, finding little combinations here and there. And I think this one's just going to be a boring decision win, 30-27, whatever, in Park's favor. And I think this one kind of saves Brad Tavares from his losing streak of getting knocked out or submitted. I don't remember his last fight, but I think this is one where we might not see Brad Tavares after this. So I'll give him his flowers now because being in the UFC for 14 years and no one really has given him his flowers, I give him the credit. I did see a post with him on the ESPN MMA, and I did like that they did that because he looks the exact same as he did in 2010 to what he does now. His face looks the exact same. I think he hasn't even changed his hair style in any sort of format. So shout out to him. Great career. If this is the end, if he hears this, he's like, this ain't the end. But to me, this could be the end of your UFC run. I'm mighty proud of you. 14 years is crazy. Good for you. I don't see you winning this, but if you do, I look forward to, I guess, calling like I'm Joe Rogan, seeing your next fight.
Hey, Sean, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. It really breaks my heart to talk about these guys in the co-main event because it makes me realize that now we got to talk about this main event. And this is not a good main event either, brother. We've got Amanda Lemos plus 114. You like that, right? That was
Yes, that was good.
against Virna Jandiroba minus 125. Got Adam Sandler in the flesh. No. You know that guy, right? You know the guy from the Sandler movies. I don't know his name, but she looks like that guy, bro. You can't tell me
Yes.
shit. The guy from Animal. You know who I'm talking about. Come on.
Yes, I do. The hell's his name?
Yo, bro, this fight sucks, bro. As a 5-round fight,
no,
are you fucking
yeah.
kidding me? Like this is why
No
the
one's
Apex
watching this fight,
exists, I would imagine, right? This is why the Hellscape exists. But I think we're gonna lose. Like, okay, the fight is 25 minutes, right? With all the pageantry, all the fluff, it's about 45 minutes, right? We're gonna lose 2 hours and 15 minutes of our lives just by watching this 45-minute fight. Like, I can guarantee that.
100%.
While both of these ladies are actually in a pretty interesting spots in their career, right? As far as their development, as far as their looking ahead. I think this is just a terrible main event, dude. This is a fucking terrible main event. But with all that being said, I think Amanda Lemos is live here, man. I'm a big fan of her striking. I think on the feet, she's a very potent fighter. And she has an interesting gas tank in the way that I've never seen her gas, but I've also seen her kind of just go on autopilot, right? Like me at a party sometimes, right? Sometimes you get a little overstimulated. Sometimes you got to go nonverbal. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you
Mhm.
gotta just, and that's how it feels like watching some of these Amanda Lemos third rounds, where it's like, God damn it, you need to win this fight. Like this fight is not over for whatever reason. Just not inspired out there. I think she's gonna need an inspired performance to beat someone like Virna Jandiroba. I think I've been the only one touting her prospects on this show, right? I've been the only one talking about how she might actually make something out of herself in this division. Obviously, a big fan of her grappling and what she's able to accomplish in those phases. I think her willingness to engage on the feet might get her in trouble in this fight. I think if she's willing to go out there and throw down for extended periods and not threaten that takedown at all, I think Amanda Lemos might knock her out cold. But I think overall, skill for skill, especially with MMA considerations, I think Virna is as tough as my goddamn insoles of the shoes I've been wearing to work the last fucking 3 months. Because god damn it, um, you're not gonna stop her, and fatigue isn't gonna stop her. Like we've seen her get tired and fight through some fucked up positions in grappling phases. Because that, like, we've all played the game, right? We've all played the game, so you can equate it, right? But grappling is so much more tiring than striking is, 10 times out of 10, and both are very very tiring. So to see her grit through a lot of those performances with securing last minute takedowns and securing last minute top control, I just think even if she ends up getting hurt here, she's going to be able to weather that storm. And doesn't matter where you're fighting from, right? When you could see everywhere in the octagon at all times. Give me Virna Jandiroba by cross-eyed submission. How you feeling, Sean?
Yeah, this one was my other one where this was a tough one to put to paper at first because this is strictly, I think, striking versus grappling. Um, I think Lemos is it's very one-sided when it comes to the striking game for Lemos. I think people write her off because of how one-sided the Zhang Wei Li fight was, and I think people very quickly just fall off the train of like, yeah, she's washed. She'll never be that level. And I do give Virna a lot of credit because when it comes to the grappling, she's so much better than Amanda Lemos here. So this is really like it's grappling and cardio versus very strong striking for this division. And you have to kind of make a decision here. And that's exactly what you were saying, where I have to take effect MMA, not boxing. And to me, I felt if this fight happened a year ago, I would have picked Amanda to probably via knockout or something crazy. Like it would have been the Amanda Lemos show probably the entire time. But to me now, I think Virna has built up enough in her resume now in her career to continue to push into this top 5 ranking. And I think here I would be very surprised if Amanda can pull off some crazy knockout within the first round, and leaving Virna with no shot. I think Virna has learned from facing other strikers in this division on her way up. Amanda's probably one of the best strikers in this division, if not number two. Like it's she's an incredible striker. But I think Virna has been ready for it from go. I think she's gonna be having I think she knows that the first 3 minutes are gonna be the toughest part of the entire fight. Is reading Amanda Lemos's, cues, his strikes, trying to figure out when it's gonna be all go. Is she gonna get clipped? How could she evade and then go for the grapple, wrestling takedown? Because the cardio and all that shit is a full 110-1 advantage for Virna. But I also think it's 1-10 for the striking for Lemos here. So I say Virna via decision, but I can absolutely see a round 3 submission or round 2 submission. I think if it gets to rounds 4 and 5, I think it's gonna be so slow that like I can even see the ref like standing them up because it's gonna be like that slow. But to me, I think this one has to be Virna to lose with how 5 rounds of trying to avoid getting taken down and grappled. I just don't see Amanda being able to do it. That's 25 minutes it's 10 minutes too much for Amanda. I have not seen what I've wanted to see from Amanda the last, year and a half. So I think this is Virna's fight to lose. So I'm picking her.
God damn, we're convicted on the main event and the co-main event, dude. We're
I think we
locked
only have
in.
one or two.
I think it's strange, right? I think the more we do this show, the more we like fuse our mind brains, right? And the more we become akin to one another, right? I feel like the
Oh, yeah.
more we do this show, it's becoming a hive mind. It's no longer Chris and Sean. It's just
Right.
the Negrong MMA show, ladies and gentlemen.
It really is.
Fucking amazing. I think this was an awesome show, despite what we're fucking dealing with. So why don't we
That's what we
segue?
do. That's what we do. Okay, we take absolute dog shit and we make gold somehow. We don't know how we do it. It happens in the moment. And
Wow.
that's why we go right into this dynasty.
Go play
And
the
this is
dog shit, right?
yeah, that's right. And that's whatever happens with dynasty here, I don't even care because I'm not a fan of the card, but I know I have the first pick and I don't even know who I'm taking. So
Wow.
I
I mean, not that you ever know, right? That's never a thought. Even if Hamzat Chimaev is available and nobody has him,
hey,
we'll
you
still
never
be
know.
here. Yeah.
You never know who's out there that's better. That's what you have to say to yourself each and every time. All right, you got to go through each and every one and just know. And you know what? I decided I felt bad for you. That you had another head-to-head sort of matchup that you already have to start the week 1-1.
Mhm.
And I don't want that to happen to you.
Thank you,
That
man.
that
Appreciate
that
that.
really hurts me. So with my first pick, and I don't care because there's someone better out there, but it's just what I'm gonna go with at this current moment in time. Give me Thomas Peterson. No.
I have him already. God damn it.
I know. I'm gonna force a trade. No, to me, I have Hyder Amil. I think Hyder Amil could still win fights. I just don't think it's this one.
Hmm.
And I do like road to the UFC guys. I've said this before. You've said this before. And for this one specifically, though, give me Lee, give me Jeong Lee here. I think this one's a lock for this
Wow.
week. And I'm a little nervous in how I'm gonna feel about it going into his next fight. But for this one, I have to say it's a pretty good lock here. It does suck that I'm gonna go 1-1 regardless, but like I said, for a card like this, I'm not really too worried.
Dude, I gotta say, I think the most remarkable thing about this is the fact that you said his name. Like, I'm not even
Jeong Lee.
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
pretty.
like
It's not bad.
it's not bad at all.
I'm practicing, all right.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, bro. Give me
I'd be
Steve
sitting there in the dark.
Garcia. Give me Virna Jandiroba, and now I am forced to have two
Oh,
head-to-head
you
matchups. So
motherfucker.
I'm sitting at 2-2. Virna Jandiroba, Steve Garcia. It is now your turn, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen.
that hurt, man. Because I really thought you were just gonna skip Virna because you had Amanda.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Oh, that's rough.
You
Man.
gotta get the best fighter on the card with your first pick, right? That's what you gotta do.
Oh,
That's how that works.
yes,
Yeah, Jeong Lee.
absolutely.
That's
Oh, that's tough.
you better learn how to speak South Korean.
That's right. You know what? Oh God, this is what happens when you get the fourth pick in a dog shit card. You had this last week.
Yeah,
I have it this week. It's just no matter what, it's bad.
it's pain.
Whoever you take, it's like, wow.
It's like it's four fight cards later. You're like, why do I own Thomas Peterson? Yeah,
That's
it's one of
exactly what
those
it is.
days. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. Man, hold on. Do you have this person?
Ooh,
No, you don't.
wow. He must be one of my guys.
Oh, I don't like this at all.
Yeah, it's bad, bro. It's really bad.
I'm making this quick. Oh, dude, this is rough. You know what? Because I look forward to like secretly, like the evil part of me looks forward to the end of Kurt Holobaugh. Give me Kaynan. Ugh, God, I don't like it.
Wow. Thank you. That means a lot to me. Like I love that. I love that for me. Okay, so we've got Kaynan,
Oh,
Jeong
that's so
Lee.
rough.
So yeah, you've got 3 fighters competing this week. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So hopefully we do have a nice bounce back win here, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I could either only go 1-2 or 2-1.
Yep,
So,
that's true. That is true. The math is mathing.
yep.
So Kaynan,
As long
wait,
as
you
I
don't
do
own
better
Kurt
than you
Holobaugh?
percentage with. Oh,
You
I
could
know.
definitely go 0-3, brother.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
No, I cannot.
How can you
I
not?
have Hyder, Amil, and Jeong Lee.
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. All right,
This
one and
guy's
one.
talking
Yeah,
shit
one and
already.
one. Yeah, I don't know what's
Guy
going
just
on.
wants to
I
see
don't know
me
what's
go
come
0
over
3.
me.
He's like
No,
praying for
it's
it.
because I know I got to read
They're
the
not
standings
gonna
right
allow.
now.
They're
It's
both
because I
gonna
no.
lose.
It's because I know I got to read the standings right now. So our 2024 Dynasty standings are as follows. I'm sitting at a respectable. I'll say that again. Respectable.
Make sure you go over last week's standings too.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Fuck you. Last week I went
And the week before.
in the Dynasty. No. We already did the week before. Don't do that.
Just redo it for me. I
Last
don't think
week
you
in
ever paid attention.
Dynasty, we went as follows. I finished the night 2-5, and Sean finished the night 4-2-1. It was almost 5-2. So shout out to 4-2-1. And then in the head-to-head picks, we finished the night 4-7-1, while Sean went 8-3-1. So our totals for Dynasty are as follows. We have Sean currently in the lead for 2024, sitting at 76 wins, 40 losses, and 2 no contests, with a 65.25 win percentage for 2024. While I am going 74-51 with 3 no contests, bringing my win percentage to a measly 58.98 on the year. And then in our head-to-head picks, excuse me, our Dynasty head-to-head total standings, this was the largest line movement we've ever had off of one single card that I can remember. So good job on there, you fuck head. I'm currently sitting at a total of 121 wins, 75 losses, 2 draws, and 4 no contests, with a win percentage of 61.39 all time, while Sean is sitting pretty at 122 wins, 70 losses, 1 draw, and 3 no contests, for a win percentage of 63.27. Now, our head to head for 2024, Sean just claimed a lead for the first time in 2 weeks with big numbers. I'm sitting at 181 wins and 100 losses with 4 no contests, which brings me to 64.21% on the year, while Sean is sitting at 185 wins, 96 losses, and 4 no contests, bringing his full head-to-head pick percentage to 65.61. Honestly, you're a real piece of shit for sitting here and clapping while I do this. So thank you so
Dude, that
much,
was like a
ladies and gentlemen,
3-minute whole
for
clip
tuning
of just
in.
me having the lead the entire time.
Thank
I
you
have
so much,
won in
ladies and
every
gentlemen,
category.
for
Here's the
tuning
lead in
in.
2024, the win in 2023. I win again last week. I win again the week before. I'm just taking over. I know you're trying to get to your outro. I that was the longest outro clap and just appreciation toward me. I think there should be more of you appreciating me than me appreciating you at this point because I'm just taking
This
over.
motherfucker got a lead and don't know how to act. All right. I can't wait because, bro, I promise you, bro. Listen, I deserve it, right? I got cooked last week, but I promise you, bro.
And the week
The
before.
next time you remotely lose, like, and it's coming. The next time you remotely lose, my boy, keep the phone ready. That's all I gotta say. Make sure your phone is on you, all right, when those fights are happening.
I look forward to it.
Hey, you deserve it. You deserve the praise, you fucking piece of shit. It hurts to lose to a piece of shit like you, but at the end of the day, somebody had to do it. And hey, it's not like I'm out here putting up fucking absolute
No,
dog shit
it is
numbers.
definitely competitive.
But yeah, last week was a ass whooping. So you'll have that. I'll give it to you. But just the worst winner possible, right? Like this guy is just fucking atrocious. But let's wrap this show before Sean's available light goes to zero, and we need to light a candle on this show. But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for sticking with us. We love you to death. Make sure you're following the brand at OTS Media Co. on all social media platforms, OTS Media on YouTube. And most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, just remember, it's important that we raise our kids with integrity, right? It's important we raise our kids with the ability to have proper compassion and comprehension so we don't end up with any Sean Negrongs. We'll see you guys
That's right.
next week.